Alright, so in this video we are going to add users controller so that user can update their profile information. So if you run the Rails server and then go to localhost 3000, and if you sign in to your app, you can see your email address in the header. So we're going to replace this with our profile image. So open up routes.rp file, and we're going to add another resources, users, and we're going to add show action. Alright, so run rake routes, and then I'm just going to scope that under user. Alright, so these are the routes that's defined in the device gem, and this is our custom route. So we're going to add our show page in our application. So let's create our controller, UsersController.rb. Alright. Inherit from application controller. And let's define the show action. Alright, so if you go back to the browser and if you click on this address, it doesn't go anywhere. This is not really linked to any other page in our application. Well, so let's change that. Alright, so open up our header partial, and right here, if the user is signed in, we have this a tag, but it's currently, this href is not referencing any page. So we're going to change that, and then just delete this a tag and just get rid of this. So we'll just use link to view helper, and we'll just display the user email for now, and then navigate that to users show page. Alright, let's check if that worked in our browser. Alright, and you get this error, template is missing, so we just need to create that. Let's make the directory first, app views users. Alright, go back to the text editor, and we're going to create app views users show.html.erb. And I'm just going to say profile. Let's refresh the page. Alright, so we're in our users show page. Okay, so what we want to do next is to provide the user object to our view. So let's go back to the controller. And we're going to fetch our user from our database and assign it to @user. So it's going to get passed to the view. So profile for username. Alright, sweet. So the next step would be to display, allow user to edit his or her profile information. So let's add edit and update route to our config routes.rb. So let's do that. So edit and update, and let's check that in our routes. Alright, so we added these to path. Alright, so we have this edit user and then update actions. Alright, so let's create that actions in our controller. Edit and update. So we're gonna add before action, and we're going to use device authenticate user and only apply that to edit and update actions. Alright, but we also need to check if the user is editing and updating his or her own profile information. So we have to check that, and we're gonna create that method in our controller. But let's add that to our before action. And I'll say check authorization and only edit and update actions. Alright, so we'll just create that method. Alright, so check authorization and let's unless current ID is equal to params ID, we're going to redirect the user to root URL. Alright, so this before action is going to get applied in the order that we specified in our controller. So this before action is going to run first, and then if it passes, then this before action is going to run. So we have this current user available in our check authorization, and only after that I'm going to instantiate the user object. Alright, so we can get rid of this and create set user and user find params Alright, so I think this order is important, and the reason why I did this current user.id and param ID, I didn't want to instantiate a user object before we check this correct user. I think that's more efficient. We could have done something like, we could have just run this set user method first, and then we could have just done something like unless current user and then redirect to whatever. But we don't want to like instantiate a user if it's an incorrect user, so I think this is more efficient. Alright, so let's create a template for edit action. Add view user edit.html.erb, and then I'll just say edit profile, and I think I forgot to add a link to edit page in this show action. So link to edit user path, pass in the user object. Alright, so let's go back and then refresh the page and then click on that, and we get undefined method authenticate. I have a typo there. Let's go back to the controller. Authenticate user. Alright. Cool. Let's go back and then edit. Alright, so it's saying that I'm not the correct user. let's check our check authorization. So I did some debugging, and it turns out that this param ID is returning a string, so we have to convert that to an integer. So let's go back to our browser and go to the show page, click on edit, and now we are in edit page. All right. So what we're gonna do here is add our form. So we're gonna use form for view helper, pass in the user, and then all right. So we'll add label, username, text field, username, and we'll just leave it like that. And we add submit button, save change. All right, let's refresh the page. And we have this form. All right, cool. So let's implement our update action. And so update action is going to run these methods before we come down here, and then so update action is going to run these before actions, and we're going to set the user to this @user variable, instance variable. So we have the reference to that. So if update user params, if it's successful, we'll just redirect user to their show page, and if it fails, we'll set the flash message alert. Something went wrong. Please try again. And re-render the edit. Alright, so we just need to create this user params in our private user params. It's going to require user and permit username. Alright, let's test it out in our browser. Alright, so I'm just going to change this to Ken Rubino and change. Alright, cool. So it's working. And let's so we don't have validation apparently. So let's check if that's the case. User, the RB has many. Alright, let's add a validation. Alright, cool. Let's commit these changes. Next step would be to add a CarrierWave gem to our application so that user can upload their profile image. So let's go to rubygems.org and search CarrierWave. Alright, so right here, and then we just take this, let's go to their homepage and getting started information. So let's add it to our gem file. And I'm just gonna add it here. let's bundle that. All right, so let's go back to the home page. And all right, we should probably restart our server. So let's go back to terminal. And let's restart our Rails server. All right, so CarrierWave gem added this generator for our uploader. So, and we're gonna call our uploader avatar uploader. So we'll just take this and run it in our terminal. All right. So let's check this file. App uploader avatar uploader.rb. All right, so this is a few. You can configure this uploader, and it has really nice comments in this file. So you can just take a look at it and see what it does. And I want to process the image when the user uploads the, their profile pictures. So I'm just going to use this mini magic, and I'll just uncomment that. And we can use fog gem to store our images in some other cloud space, but because we're just developing in our local environment, we'll just stick to our file system storage. And we'll just add some validation. So we'll just whitelist extensions. So let's uncomment this. So we'll just allow user to upload only JPEG file, GIF file, and PNG files. So let's go back to our gem file, and we'll add this mini magic gem, and let's bundle that. All right. So go back to the uploader avatar uploader.rb, and we'll just add some processing because we want to have thumbnail version of our image. So let's uncomment this. I'm just going to use this resize to fit method, and I'll just specify that to 80 by 80. Alright, so let's go back to our edit template, at views users edit, and here we'll just add HTML multi-part true, and we'll just add F file field and avatar. Alright, let's go back to our controller and whitelist this avatar. And let's see the documentation here. And we have to add this migration so that we have this avatar column in our table, in our users table. So let's do that. And since we're using this avatar, we can just take this and run it in our terminal. All right, let's check this. Migrate. All right, so we're gonna add avatar column to our users table, and then it's gonna be a type string. Looks good. So right, rake db migrate. All right, and we just add this line to our model. We just mount our uploader Alright, save it. And so let's display our image in our show page. So right here, we'll just image tag user avatar URL, and we'll just use thumbnail if user has an image. Alright, so I just restarted our Rails server, and if you go to our show page and then click on edit, now you see this file upload button. So let's just click that, and then I'm just gonna add my image. Alright, and save the change, and there you go. You see your avatar image in our show page. Cool, let's commit that change. What we're going to do next is to add our custom view helper to display our avatar image. So if you go back to our show page, we're using this Rails image tag view helper. But instead of doing that, I want to have something like avatar for user, and it does all these logic for us in the view helper. All right, so let's create this avatar for helper. So let's create app helper users helper .rb and module users helper define avatar for, and it's going to take user as an argument, and if user has an avatar, you're going to call this image tag and user avatar URL thumb, else will display, we're gonna add default avatar image under our assets. So we'll just image. All right, let's add this image to our assets. So I'm gonna open my Finder. I grabbed a default image from the internet. So let's go to our assets folder, and then under image, I'm just gonna paste that image. So I'm gonna call it default avatar.jpg. So I'll just edit this default avatar JPEG. All right, so let's see if it worked. And let's go back to our browser. All right, so that's working. So let's delete this image tag from our show page. And see. All right. Refresh the page. All right, so let's change this email in our header to use our avatar image. So instead of link to current user email, let's add this parentheses so that it's going to be more clear. So we're going to call avatar for current user. All right, let's go back to our page, and we're going to see this avatar image in our header. All right, it's cool. Alright, but this avatar image in our header is a little too big, so we want to resize that. So we're gonna edit our avatar for view helper first. So this is gonna take the option hash and size, and then size default to 80 pixels. So let's just grab this size from our option hash. And we'll add size and size. And let's go back to our header.html.erb and we will specify the size. Let's use maybe 35. Go back and then refresh the page. It didn't change. Alright, my bad. This is, instead of size, it's actually width. Refresh the page. Cool. Alright. So I want to have border radius. I want these avatar image to be a circle. So let's style that with our CSS. And then I'm just going to add a class to this avatar image. And let's go to our style sheet. And under module, alright, let's create file, app asset style sheets, avatar.scss. So avatar image and border radius 50%. And let's not forget to add this partial to our manifest file, application.scss, and we're going to import modules avatar. Alright, refresh the page. I get syntax error. This avatar.css directly under style sheets directory, so I'm just going to move this file under modules. So let's do that. Move app assets style sheet avatar to app assets style sheet modules. That. Alright, so if you go to modules, alright, let's go back and refresh the page. And there we go. We have this border radius of 50%. And I want to add one more thing. I want to add descriptions to our user. So let's do that. So what I mean by that is in our edit.html file, I want to have another input field. This is going to be a text area, label, description, and text area, description, and if we go back to our browser and refresh the page, it's going to complain that it doesn't have the attributes to in our user object. So let's add a migration. Add description to users description, and I want the description to be a type text. So let's run this and let's check this. file. So we're going to add description field in our users table, and it's going to be a type text. Looks good. So let's run db migrate. All right. If we refresh the page, I have a typo here, label. So just fix that. And then if you go back to our browser, all right, there we go. So before we do that, let's display this description in our show page. Okay, I'm just gonna say Ruby developer. All right, save change. And oh, right, so we have to whitelist that in our controller. So let's go back and then add description to our users param. All right, let's go back and redo that. And Ruby/JavaScript developer. And save change. And there we go. All right, cool. So I guess we can just save this change. Add description to user. All right, so our layout is kind of funky right now, but I want to wait until we have more components so that we can install everything together. All right, so that's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.